and I'm sure that people are aware of your position in the Commonwealth Bank, and I'll just hand over to you. Your PowerPoint presentation is there.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for inviting us tonight. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about electronic banking. The first half of the presentation will be I'll be talking a little bit about why we should do it, and I think probably to start with, maybe I should talk a little bit about the history of electronic banking, where it's come from. I have been in the bank a long time, so probably Michael wouldn't be able to tell you some of the information I'll tell you, but I think I can remember some of the terminology we used for it when we started. But I think probably the earliest days, I think probably back in the 90s, I can remember we had a very, very basic version, mostly for business customers, only gave very basic information. It was a dial-up service, and like a lot of computers in those days, it was pretty unreliable. So you could just sort of see a little bit of transaction information. For our phone customers, we had a thing called Phone Bank. I don't know if anyone ever had one. It was a little cup that fitted over the bottom of a phone, had a keypad in it, and similarly, the technology was quite primitive, and it was hard to get through sometimes. And if you did get through, you listened to this fantastic computer voice in US dialogue. It was very hard to understand, and a very, again, not a lot of information given. But since then, back probably as we started, I think probably about 2000, we used a CD sort of version that started. It started to take hold, and I mean, today we're up to about, I think only about a month ago, we reached 7 million registered users for NetBank, so it's an amazing number. And I think we have about 1.3 million people log on every day for NetBank, and that is quite amazing. There's probably some other stats there with regards to phone, Kaching, and some of our mobile devices. That's probably one of our biggest growth areas. I think in the 9 years since we started using mobile devices, I think it's grown about 770%, and I suppose that's just going to keep growing. Where's it going to go to? I suppose it's going to be probably one of the biggest drivers of a cashless society. And look, that's going to be a long way down the road, there's no doubt about that. It's just going to be a gradual thing. But this is probably going to drive that more than anything else, I suppose, in the future. So why do it? I suppose the biggest advantages for electronic banking is probably just convenience. It's time, it's the security side of things, and I won't steal too much of Mike's thunder. He's going to go into that in great detail, but it is quite secure, and it saves a lot of money. It's environmentally friendly, obviously. We're not keeping that reams of paper and printing stuff. It keeps a lot of records, and we'll go into that in a bit more detail. I mean, I just think of myself, and I work in a bank, surely I should be able to do my banking at work, but rarely do I ever do my banking at work. I tend to do it at home. You know, I open the mail up after dinner and pay some bills on the computer or the iPad, or in the morning, first thing in the morning when it's a little bit, get to my office early, and I'll do a bit of the personal stuff. And look, it's the same for many of us. It allows us the convenience of doing it in a time that suits us and our busy lives. So how do we use it? I mean, most of us, it'll be computers, I suppose. Telephone banking, it'll be tablets, but it'll be also smartphones, and that's probably, as I said before, that's probably the biggest growth area that we've got at the moment, is in the smart area. Smartphone, I should say. I know many of you probably already do electronic banking, but there are quite a lot of enhancements coming all the time. I think our website gets updated probably every month, and something new goes on there. And I thought I'd go through maybe some of those things. There could be some things that you didn't know existed, but bear with me, I know you probably do know a lot of them. Obviously, for most of us, it's the account information. And we go in there to see whether something's come through. It could be our salary. We might be paying bills. Now that information, I imagine most of the banks, I know for the Commonwealth, keeps up to about 7 years. And that's a lot of data. I mean, the convenience of that is that you don't have to print any paper. You've got that to refer to. If you change address, you don't have to worry about it. If you're getting everything electronic, it's there. So you don't have to worry about that side of it. What we're finding too now is a lot more people doing their applications on the computer. And we're going to see more and more even started, for instance, home loans, personal loans, opening up investments. It could be insurance, they're doing their trades, they're in share trades or whatever. The documentation's good, it's quick, it's efficient, and there's a lot of backup service. The bank started a web chat line, so you can actually email someone in on the site and you're talking to a real person and they can help you through that in a help desk sense. Pre-approval, like what we're finding with personal loans now, we're really getting into a 24-hour personal loan thing where customers might either come into a branch or start it online, but we'll do all the documentation up, get it all ready, and instead of making another trip back to the branch, they just go on there, accept it, it comes through to us and we fund it. And it really is it's quite a seamless process. So we're seeing a lot more of that now. And with electronic wise, we can offer a lot more deals or you know, pre-approved or partially or conditionally approved facilities for people. And it really does save a lot of time. It's very, very well received by customers. Obviously, for the small business owner, electronic banking is great. And there are a lot of more complicated ComBiz we have for our large businesses, but a lot of them just use our basic net bank, which is completely free, and they can import or export documents or salaries or whatever information they need on there. One of the nice things that we're seeing now that a lot of the younger people want it, or because they use Facebook or they're using emails, we can actually send receipts across to these different media vehicles, and that's getting quite popular. International transfers, people can send money overseas from home, but more importantly, when they're travelling, they can send money while they're overseas to an account or a bank overseas while they're there. So there's a lot of those, we're seeing that being used more often. Obviously the award points, a lot of people have awards now from the credit card. You can go on there, you can get your awards, you can see the catalogues. Transfers, now transfers take different formats. One of the things we are seeing a lot more people using is with the smartphones, and I brought along a iCard today. So this is something that probably a lot of young people are using. This attaches to an iPhone 4, and it allows people to not only transfer money between phones, but it also allows them to use it in a pay pass sense, a tap and go at the shops. So you don't need your card, you can just use your phone to pay for goods. So it's a bit scary, but don't be scared, because that's probably the lowest crime rate of any electronic banking device in Australia. It's only about 0.03, I think, of crime rate is on a pay pass type of technology. And the other thing too, all the banks, they cover that, you know, so if any fraud, they come good with it. Now, I've got a couple of those to give away tonight too, so if anyone's got an iPhone 4 and they want to try that technology, I'll let Michael organise how he's going to do that. Okay. So with that smartphone, so if you've got a mobile phone, you can use our Kaching service, and part of that Kaching, you've probably seen the ad on TV that a guy from the Mentalist, what's it, Simon Cowell, isn't it? Simon Cowell? Simon Baker, that's right, yeah. Anyway, so basically you're at a restaurant with a group of friends and you can only pay one bill. It does happen. So you've got to pay one bill, and so someone decides they're going to pay it, someone has forgotten their wallet, or you all decide to pay a quarter or whatever. And so quite simply, you can actually pay the person who's paid the bill by using your phone. And there's a number of ways you can do that. So one way you can do it is actually transfer the money to their account. And if you've done before, that'll be in your address book, and you can just send that money through. If you know, but often people don't know their bank account. So if you know their email address, you can send the money to their email address, okay? Or if you know their Facebook, you can send the money to their Facebook. I don't have a Facebook, but a lot of people do. Obviously what happens is that the money goes there and they need a code, and later on you send a code to them and they can claim the money. With another way you can do it is you can bump. Okay, and so if you've used it before, if another person's got a phone, one sets the phone up to accept, one sets it to send, and it's like the pay pass, it gives you a 20-second period there, and you just bump the phones, and hey presto, the money's over in that account. So it's quite amazing, but it is just one of those things that, especially you know, the Ys and the X's, they use it a lot and they love it, and they're driving that 770